Yo, what's up guys? Bajheera here. For this video, I'm going to be giving you another update on the current state of my Barbarian in Diablo 4 Season 8, which continues to be an absolute blast. I haven't played this much Diablo in quite a while, but this one's really been fun. Been having a great time streaming it, gaming on it, and our character has been making a lot of progress. It has been really fun for me to take my character from like the leveling phase to like the sort of early end game, and now we're kind of in like a later end game phase where there's like, it feels like there's three like distinct grinds, and I feel like we're just getting started with this last phase of we're clearing tier 4 bosses. Now we have a chance to get like insane loot and really progress and see how deep we can go into the pit. But we have transitioned from like a sort of bleed dot focused earthquake kind of deal to a fire damage whirlwind earthquake kind of deal. And now we're at this stage where we are using Hammer the Ancients to explode the earthquakes, dealing bigger burst damage. But of course, the whole time, like, earthquakes are like a really big deal this season. They are doing a lot of damage, and so we're still building around it. But yeah, now we're using Hammer of the Ancients to do a big old explosion on the earthquakes and increase our damage doing that. And it's been a blast to kind of group mobs up, boom, just hammer slammer them, and I'm liking it a lot. Let me show you what we're doing with our talents here, with our skills. So, this is definitely still a work in progress. We're always kind of changing stuff as we go. But yeah, this is a really cool one, and this is what we're playing on stream right now. So, let's show you what we're cooking with. So, first things first, we're going with Bash, which allows us to get a guaranteed overpower on Hammer of the Ancients after critically striking 4 times with Bash. So, we do have 100% crit chance, so 4 bashes in a row, boom, big overpower, right? So keep that in mind. I feel like I should maybe even show the gear before I show the skills sometimes, because you're like, okay, you have 21 ranks of Hammer of the Ancients. What the heck is going on there? So bear with me, all right? Bear with me. So this is kind of weird. So we are talenting into Whirlwind, and it says rank 5, but we're getting 4 of those points from items, so keep that in mind too. We actually haven't put like more than 1 point in either of these. So, but we're getting 1 point in Whirlwind, which is allowing us to generate a little bit more fury with it, and also apply a little bit of a bleed. We are whirlwinding a little bit. Whirlwind is mostly just there to have the phasing so we can walk through enemies unhindered, and so we apply a teeny tiny little bit of a bleed, and so we can use the Whirlwind channeling boss power that gives us the beam that also increases our damage by 50%. For 1 second after the beam hits them. So the gameplay is you're whirlwinding, getting the beam to proc on an enemy, boosh, cancel or a blade storm execute, right? That's what we're basically doing. It's pretty sweet. Then we've got Hammer of the Ancients, of course, which is giving us a big hit, getting 3% more fury for 5 seconds for each enemy damaged by Hammer of the Ancients, which is cool. And then we've got Hammer of the Ancients deals more critical damage and critical strike chance for every 10 fury you had when cast. Its critical strikes knock down enemies for 2 seconds. So this is kind of nice CC. This one feels like it should be the one that I use. But every time I put it on, compared to this one, it doesn't really feel as good. But we'll see. We'll see. I may continue to experiment with it, but we have 100% crit chance right now. And we have different ways of buffing our crit damage now. So we're at a phase in the build where I feel like I'm experimenting a little bit, but this one still has been a lot of fun. And I like the CC. So then we go over here to grab, after overpowering, you deal 12% increased damage for 4 seconds, which is fun because we are doing the overpower with this against strong enemies. So then we go down here, picking up Rallying Cry with the Fortify enhancement. Just a great way to get Fortify. Fortify for us is going to be giving us Barrier as well, so it's helping us be tanky. We are grabbing Life. We are grabbing Damage Reduction against Elites. And we're even grabbing damaging an enemy with a basic skill, increase your damage by 12% for 4 seconds, because we are basic attacking against strong enemies. We're getting the bashes, and then we really bash them with the hammer. So then we're going down here. We're getting Warcry again with the Fortify enhancement. We're taking a little bit longer shout durations, and I have 1 point. This is kind of laying around, so I have this making enemies deal less damage for 5 seconds. There's definitely maybe like a different place I could put this. Just 1 point. Maybe I've put it in the slow before. We could probably put it in defensive stance as well, just for like more healing over time if we wanted to do that. But honestly, this is just something to put it there for now. We are grabbing 12% damage reduction while Berserk, and while Berserking, our Fury damage or Fury generation is increased. That's nice too, because we are berserking like all the time. So we're also dealing 9% increased damage to close enemies, and you gain 6% damage reduction. What's crazy is as I'm looking at my talents right now, I'm kind of realizing that I could probably lose 9% crit chance and still have 100% chance to crit. And I am very curious what happens if I unspec this. I'm sorry to be doing this theory crafting live, but I am curious. Yeah, we still have 100% crit chance. So this may not be the case for everybody on your build, but for where I'm at in my build right now, we are here. So now I have potentially 4 points to play around with, and I just don't know where I could put it to get more damage. But anyway, I'll leave that there for now, and I'll play with that later, because this is just good unless you have like giga crit like we do right now. But yeah, every time you take direct damage, you fortify just a little teeny bit so I can get access to this. While you have fortify over 50% of your maximum life, you do a 12% increased damage. So we're looking for a lot of these increased damage nodes. And honestly, we could even put it in this chance to stun, which is pretty sweet. Chance to stun could be actually really nice. That might be what I do. Let's just chuck that in there for now. Because we have giga lucky hit, and we're using a two-hander a lot. So maybe I'll just plop it in there. I don't think it's going to do that much damage for us, but maybe. We'll see. We'll come down here. We're putting all the points we can into heavy hitter. Ultimate skills, Earthquakes, and Dust Devils deal 100%, 120% more damage. So our ultimate is not really dealing damage for us, but Dust Devils are sort of dealing damage, and Earthquakes definitely are dealing damage. So that's huge. Then we're grabbing 5 points in Wrath of the Berserker. This is just for like being able to be unstoppable, moving fast, hitting hard, increasing Fury generation. Pretty nice. There are some really cool builds that are using Call of the Ancients, and that could be another place that we go to scale all of it, right? Because then it's scaling Ultimate, Earthquake, and Dust Devils. So that's another place that this build may want to go eventually. But we're doing Wrath of Berserker for now. And we're also doing Unconstrained at the bottom. So Berserking damage bonus is increased. Basically everything that we're doing that we can to increase the damage of our Earthquakes is really, really good. And I think that's where I'm rocking with right now. Another thing that we could do is instead of putting points in Concussion, we could put points in Warcry, because again, we're just looking for ways to increase our damage, and this is a place that can increase our damage. We don't really need the stun as much, I feel like, but it is kind of funny to just like maybe spam stun enemies even though they're already getting spam knocked down. But this just seems good. But let me see just 1 second how much damage. It doesn't go up by that much. It would increase damage by 5%? Never mind. Max that bad boy out. All right, now we just need Warcry on boots, which is something that I think would be cool, because right now my boots I think are like maybe okay, but let's take a look at the gear. Actually, after a very quick look at the Paragon. So that's what I'm doing right now, I guess. Let's send it with that. I like that talent point investment, looks pretty good, because we're pretty tanky right now. What I think I need in order to go faster is more damage, of course, and we'll figure that out too. Really, really fun to theory craft these builds as we go. And min-max depending on like where we're at with the build. So first things first, our first little area, I'm putting in Wrath for crit damage and generating Fury, which is great, and then it just increases crit damage even more. We are grabbing all of this stuff as we go. I'm gonna try to go through this a little bit fast, okay? Because we got a lot to talk about. In the second one, we are grabbing Warbringer, because I love the Fortify. I may not need it, but I love the Fortify. So I'm grabbing that because it's Fortify, it's Barrier. It just keeps us tanky. It keeps our Earthquakes proccing. I'll show you why. Because whenever we don't take damage for 2 seconds to our health, it procs Earthquakes. So that's really good. We're taking vulnerable damage with Exploit here, but this also applies vulnerable to enemies when we first hit them. We are grabbing Decimator. Every time we make enemies vulnerable, which we do very frequently, we get more damage increase, which is pretty sweet. Overpowering a vulnerable enemy grants an additional 20% bonus for 5 seconds. So that's pretty cool. When we get the guaranteed overpower, it giga slams them for more damage after that, which is awesome. That's good against bosses. When you can get in a good rotation of getting your overpower, boom, and then you go back to bashing, boom, 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 and it kind of just stacks up like that to do giga dam. Rupture is also good for this, which is cool. So while berserking, we do more damage. We like that. While berserking, we take less damage from elites, which is excellent. Very, very cool. And then we've got up here, we're taking the Force of Nature one to give us Earthquake damage. And then this is also scaling with our close damage, which is nice. The glyph that we put in, did we talk about the glyph? Yes. Yeah. And then we put the glyph in of the Earthquake Rumble, So we're doing more damage with earthquakes, which is pretty sweet. And then we've got this last one. I'm actually going for Blood Rage to give us just another 45% more multiplier from our damage. We've got some other options there too, but that's what I'm rocking with right now. And I'm putting in Territorial in there to do damage to close. It's not even fully filled out yet, but it will be soon. And then we've got that scaling with our Earthquake damage to close, right? It kind of like scales up. Your Earthquake damage is increased by 40% of your damage versus close bonus up to a maximum of 200%. So every time we put in more damage to close, it's scaling that and the Earthquakes. So that's pretty sweet. So for the gear has become very, very interesting. Very interesting. So let's start from the top. So this is also somewhat experimental. So we found Air of Perdition, which is, I don't think a perfect helmet for Barbarian by any means, but it does give me a ridiculous amount of crit chance. Lucky hit chance is excellent. Movement speed is fine. Core skills is kind of not great, but we are doing 60% more damage, which is pretty cool. And then there's also 200% damage to angels and demons, which is nice for farming bosses. And then in this one, we put the Neo Tech. So we avoid taking health damage while fighting for 2 seconds. We proc an Earthquake, and it's a big one, right? Every time it happens, it's a big ol' Earthquake. So then it's a big ol' heavy slammer whenever we do that, which is cool. So something I'm considering, if you don't have the Air of Perdition, is the Ugly Bastard helmet for just more fire damage, basically. Everything else that it gives you is fine, but the big fire damage is nice because we're converting our damage to fire with that helmet anyway, which is really, really sweet. So that's something I would consider. The reason I'm using Air of Perdition is because the game has blessed me with a mythic, and I want to use it. But I'll probably try the Ugly Bastard helmet as well, and we'll probably farm up a really good one and see what we can do. This is the build enabler item right here, Mantle of Mountain's Fury. Hammer the Ancients damage for 5 seconds after an earthquake explodes. And then if you look down here, Hammer the Ancients also forms a seismic line that deals damage and slows, which is whatever. But earthquakes that pass through explode for their total damage and are consumed. So when you have like earthquake duration scaling, that's gonna pop the earthquake and make it deal giga damage. This one rolled a little bit troll. It masterworked a little bit troll at least. I mean, it dropped this double greater affix on the Hammer of the Ancients in defensive stance, which is fine. But what I think the most important affix is the chance for earthquakes to deal double damage. And then I masterworked it, and it just decided to put every single masterwork into the Hammer of the Ancients, which looks cool, but I don't think it's as good as actually having earthquake damage. Earthquakes, again, are what are dealing damage for this build. So damage to all situation, damage to all like damage and whatnot, like those are the increase that we're looking for. So increase the Hammer of the Ancients is not particularly awesome, but it's whatever. We're gonna keep farming for a better chest, and then we're gonna hopefully eventually maybe get it to masterwork into chance for earthquake to deal double damage. So a greater affix of chance to deal double damage and then masterworked into it is probably the best thing that we can possibly get. So we have things to grind. We need the Obdicite, we need the drops, we have lots of gains to make. These gloves are absurd. Shout outs to DW on the stream for saying, hey, you want these bad boys? I said, yep, sure. Well, no, sorry, not this. This isn't, yeah. And then these are kind of nuts. So these are really responsible for keeping vulnerable on enemies like all the time. So they have attack speed, crit chance, lucky hit chance through the roof. Chance to make enemies vulnerable is really, really nice on lucky hit. And then of course our attacks randomly deal 1% to 290% of their normal damage. This is a ridiculous item. So this one is not SSF, but you can definitely find Fists of Fates that are good. And we found a couple that are good, but they're not like insane like this. But we found some 290s that also have a lucky hit chance and vulnerable, so they're out there. You can find them. The greater affix on lucky hit to make enemies vulnerable is great, and these are sometimes dealing ridiculous damage, sometimes dealing not very much damage, but they're pretty much making everything vulnerable all the time. So that is huge. That's why we're wearing those. But they do a lot of cool stuff for us. I'm still using Tassets with the Dawning Sky. We may have some better options, but these are just solving my resist and giving me some stats, which is helping us be tanky. I think that we are fairly tanky right now. I think the big thing that we need to do is figure out damage. And there are pants, the Tybalt's Will, that give us damage when we're unstoppable. That might be kind of cool. But right now I'm using these to like super mega cap our resists. And that feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. Let's see. So we've got Rakanoth's Wake. Again, I think I was using these to buff the non-physical damage that we were doing for a while, and I liked them just fine. The cooldown reduction is fine. All resist is fine. Movement speed is obviously great. I think what we actually want here are probably just some like normal boots, like normal legendary boots with like probably strength on them, movement speed, and then some kind of like plus skills to Warcry. I think would be insane because the extra damage that you would get from plus skills to Warcry would be huge. Like we were messing with there. Like that's just another way to just increase all of our damage. So I think that's what we're looking for next for these boots, but whatever. These are pretty good. We got them to drop. I think they're fine, but we can get better. Our two-handed weapon is looking pretty gnarly. We've got strength on there as the greater FX. I keep wanting to say exalted from last epoch because that's kind of like where D4 got the idea. But anyway, this gives me strength, max life, crit damage. We've got earthquake duration on there, and we've got damage while berserking. I don't think that we want damage while berserking as much as we want. I probably am going to try to like re-roll this into like a heavy hitter maybe. But earthquake duration I think does like something very similar. Like heavy hitter is awesome because it buffs our earthquake damage, but earthquake duration is also buffing earthquake damage. So it's like, I feel like if you get like 100% earthquake duration, that's just 100% more damage. So it's like, I don't think you're going to take heavy hitter instead. But I mean, if you can get it to have like, what, 6 points of heavy hitter, that's going to be like 90% more earthquake damage. And then you can masterwork it, and then it goes even higher. So earthquake duration being at 90% duration is basically just 90% more damage. So you're gonna have to sort of figure that one out. But this one is okay. But we need it. It could roll higher, right? And then damage while berserking, I think, is fine too. That could also roll higher. So we could definitely get a better mace. Basically, is what I'm saying. We have earthquake does damage whatever. On ground stomp, it's fine, it doesn't matter. What we care about is standing in earthquakes, and for 4 seconds afterwards, you deal 100% increased damage. So that's nice. And then your earthquakes also deal more damage, which is great. So we like that. I think that should be on the two-hander. This is another just giga ridiculous insane item that we found. So this came from one of the tribute Undercity of Kurast runs that we did. This gives us all stats, max life, damage reduction. Just kind of insane for tankiness, for the pushing them pits, which is sweet. Executioner's Skull and Steel. This one just gives us the overpower, spawns earthquakes, and this one can be on the one-hander for sure because the really important affix is the earthquakes damage increased by your strength, which we have 180% bonus right now. We could have 190%, but I have changed my runes into my armor, so we've lost strength in exchange for critical strike damage. And the reason that we have done that, again, just to quickly mention, we are tempering for heavy hitter here and damage while berserking, kind of like what we're doing on this weapon, but a little bit different. So this gives us 5 ranks. I mean, we got to consider putting heavy hitter on two-hander, I think. The reason why we have taken crit damage in weapons instead of strength is because of this. This dropped last night too, the Grandfather. This is crazy. This is crazy. So this thing gives you giga stats, giga life, a max resource, which I wish it wouldn't have masterworked it, but then it gave us masterwork into damage, which is cool. And it increases your critical strike damage by 100%, which is ridiculous. The other properties of this weapon can roll higher than normal. So we had about like 1,700 crit damage before, crit damage percent. Now we have 3,200 crit damage percent with 100% crit chance. So we're just dealing 3,000% more damage. Like what? Like, or increased damage. That's just crazy. It's just crazy. So we're trying that out, and we're gonna see how that feels. But yeah, when the game gives me mythics, I want to use them. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. Give me more, and we'll see what we can use. So we have Bold Chieftain's Ring with strength, lucky hit, vuln damage. Crit on rings is good, but if we already have 100% crit, we can do other stuff. Lucky hit's cool because it's like guaranteed vuln for us. We have damage while berserking on this one, and we have casting ultimate skills restores resource. I don't want that, so we need a new ring. This one I just tried to temper it twice already, and it just hasn't cooperated. So you just gotta have to kind of like take what you can get. But like something like oh, by the way, we have Bold Chieftains on there. Whenever you cast a shout skill, its active cooldown is reduced. I like that. We have on this one, we have while above 40 Fury, we're Berserk. I like that a lot. We have Wrath of Berserker cooldown reduction, which is okay. I wonder if I want to move away from Wrath of Berserker eventually, which means we're going to need to get a new ring. Then we just have damage while berserking. With strength, life, crit damage. We might not need life on our gear. Like, I don't know. Like, life is cool, but we have 17k. I mean, I don't know. Well, as we push the pit, it feels like I need more damage. Eventually, it might be that we need to be tankier, so life's probably fine. But strength, crit damage is excellent. Then we can probably get a new ring here, too. But Wrath Berserker cooldown damage while berserking is fine for now. And this necklace is, like, not great, but it's kind of insane at the same time. It gives me 27% increased strength, which is ridiculous, but it could have been 34. And then it's not even like an exalted affix. It has just extra damage. This gives me critical strike chance, which again I think we probably need, but maybe not. I don't know. Then it's damage while berserking, which is great, and then earthquake size. But all of the the damage while berserking rolled really low on it. Earthquake size isn't insane, but then our earthquakes deal 87% increased damage, and their damage is converted to fire. I used to have this affix on my weapon, but I had to move it up to here. And then I dropped the Bolcathos off of here, so earthquakes are no longer giving us a damage taken reduction bonus. But it's all good, I think. I think it's fine. But we need to experiment because this is one of those things that is nice to just increase your earthquake damage, and then you can see how that works with the bastard helmet, right? It converts all damage to fire, as what the bastard helmet does, but this one gives us a lot of increased damage on earthquakes, which is what we want. So that's kind of where we're at with our character. And I would love to show you some gameplay, but I am officially 100% out of time. I gotta go get my boy from school, and then I'm gonna play some Minecraft. Gotta go get my guy. But we will be streaming this later on today. Just blasting this build through all the endgame progression. And if you want to look at our previous stream, then that will show you what this build has been looking like. Show you us farming up these drops that we got grandfather yesterday, and we're blasting. But right now, just to give you some perspective, we're comfortably killing every tier 4 boss, including Belial. It's not real fast, but we get the job done. And we're farming like level 70 pits comfortably, but we're gonna have to bump that up to upgrade my glyphs and stuff. So I think that covers where we're at with the character. Again, I would love to usually show gameplay, but I'm gonna try to get this video up to you guys ASAP, and then we'll hammer some pits later on today. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you on the stream. Peace.